Tata. The name is synonymous with rugged, reliable, and functional. And over the years, they've introduced iconic models like the Indica, the Nano, Safari, and Nexon. And this is still Tata. But this is Tata Evolved. Welcome to the Tata Curvv EV review. The story kicks off in 1998 with the iconic Indica when one man by the name of Ratan Tata dared to dream big. Once known for manufacturing steel and trucks, Tata Motors took a bold detour into the passenger car segment. Tata was now not just moving and producing material, but people as well. And fast forward a decade, Tata brought the world's most affordable car, the Tata Nano, promising all passengers 4 wheels for the price of a bike. Then came the Safari, a tank of an SUV that could handle anything between school pickups to mountain climbs. And after a bit of slowdown, Tata hit fresh and came back even stronger with models like the Tiago, Punch, and Nexon. And the Tata Curvv EV? Well, I think this is Tata giving a statement saying, "Watch me." And this car here has a 55 kilowatt hour battery that's mated to a front mounted motor that produces 215 Newton meters of torque, which is still enough to take it from 0 to 100 in about 8 seconds and has a top speed of 160 kilometers per hour. As for range though, well, according to the newer, more accurate C75, it's going to be around 400 kilometers. Nepal's Tata Motors claim even less at 380 kilometers, but do you want to know how much I got? Stay tuned to the end. And as for practicality, for a car which has an almost 2.6 meter wheelbase car, it comes paired with a very practical and phenomenal ground clearance of 186 mm, which makes it phenomenal for not just underground parking, but also more than your average rough roading. At the front, this car does have an 11-liter frunk, but at the back, it's got a massive boot space of 500 liters that can be expanded to 973, with the rear seats folded down in that traditional 60:40 ratio. Psst. This also has a 16-inch spare tire at the back. And as for charging, the flap is right at the front. The car is off, but this is automated. It's a CCS Type 2 with your AC on top and your DC at the bottom. And, well, using a regular 3-pin 15 amp plug, it was going to need about 20 hours and more. But the great thing is with a 7.2 kilowatt charger, it's going to take roughly around 8 to 9 hours for a 10 to 100. That's basically an overnight. And then if you find a proper DC charger though, that is actually going to do 10 to 80% in about 45 minutes at 70 kilowatts. And the great thing about this car is that it not only inputs but also outputs, which means it can do vehicle to vehicle at a maximum of 5 kilowatts and V2L at 3.3 kilowatts. All right, that was a boatload of numbers. So let me get onto the driver's seat now and let's get driving. Oh my God, Kashmir weather. It was just bright and sunny a moment ago. And now it's not only raining, but it's drizzling and hailing. Ugh. Anyway, seatbelts check. Brake check, mic check, switching into gear. Whatever the weather, always drive responsibly and safely. And I'm about to take it mighty safe and slow today. So I took this car all the way to Zarsingpawa through some sleek pitched roads, and then rougher cemented roads, and then proper rough road sections where even for a car like this with good ground clearance, I did have some scraping here and there. And my oh my, the suspension and the ground clearance on this car were the highlight. It's got an independent McPherson strut setup at the front, and at the back is a twist beam. And I will admit it does get bouncy inside sometimes, but overall, oh my god, it's so nice in here. Not even gonna sugarcoat this. Any sort of hump, bump, speed breaker, and if you live in an area with one of those small pesky speed breakers, you can just kiss them bye-bye. It's like, I don't know how I explain it exactly, but it like takes the fatigue away on a rough road segment. Also, I'd like to immediately tell you about the 9-speaker JBL sound system on this car. Is phenomenal. You have to try it out. There's even a big subwoofer at the back if you're really into that thumpy bass sound. Anyway, as for driving this car though, you mentally and visually know it's more of a taller coupe sedan shape of a vehicle, but behind the wheel it feels exactly like a tall stance SUV would. Tata is now on the 2nd generation of battery, transmission and motor, and you can definitely feel the refinement in this. And they've even detailed this car with a lot of useful features, like the fog lamps also act as cornering lamps. You have a blind spot monitor that pops up on your dashboard the moment you hit the spotlight on either sides too. Really nice and nifty. Your driver's seat and passenger seat in the front are 6-way adjustable, with the drivers being electronically adjustable, and you also get ventilation in the front seats, making it for a really tall, commanding seating position. But I do want to point out, on like long curvy bends, this A-pillar does give you a prominent blind spot around here. And as for driving modes though, this car comes with 3 via a dial down here: City, Sport, and Eco. And in Sport, foot down, and you do have a bit of wheel spin, but they're all very smooth and refined. In Eco mode, there is a little more play with the accelerator, as most Eco modes are. And in Sports mode, you get that full 215 Newton meters of torque. But it's all well and manageable. However, I did notice some quirks straight off the bat, like as much as you can adjust the seating, you really can't adjust the steering wheel. It'll only go up and down for height, but not for reach. Oh my god, look at this. It hasn't even rained. I'm like partially drenched in this other area of town. My car is completely drenched, whereas cars coming towards my direction are completely not drenched. There is another contradiction in this cabin that I noticed, which was the fact that there are enough storage spaces which are big and ample and large in volume, but there's also not enough of the smaller cubbies here and there for your knickknacks and tidbits. For example, there's no cup holders in the front here, which means things like my cell phone, my key, my portable chargers, I'm having a bit of a hard time trying to figure out where to put them. Tata do provide you a cup holder, but it's in the glove box, which makes it a bit awkward if you have a passenger in the front, no? And where do I begin with the horn? They've replaced the horn button with a screen that illuminates the Tata logo, and I personally have a habit of just pressing the horn with my forearm like you just saw now, and it didn't work. I have to make sure my forearm touches the center of the panel and then it'll work, but on the side, Like even on this side, it doesn't work. Oh, I activated something else. You get what I mean? But finally, look down here. The gear dial in Tata EVs have been finally replaced with a gear lever. So welcome back to quick 3-point turnings on Tata EVs. And the 4 disc brakes on this car are all smooth and responsive. I wouldn't really push this car around a lot, but it does manage to do the trick even in sports mode. And being an EV, this car gets regenerative braking, not just 1 or 2 modes, but 4 entire modes that can be activated on the go with these paddle shifters. And if you are concerned about safety, don't worry, because Tata have equipped the Tata Curvv EV with the full ADAS level 2 package. So it's gonna lane center, it's gonna pick up speed and slow down and everything if you're hitting those long miles on the highway. Just keep out on for efficiency and range though. Remember when you'd look at a Tata and not be too impressed by its looks? Well, Tata's been cooking, and I know that at the back that coupe line is strong, but you've kind of got to hand it to them, right? So starting at the front, I have the bonnet open. It's a heavy bonnet, but you have your frunk right at the front, your Avas speaker there, I'm sure you can hear it, hydraulic fluids, your 12-volt battery, and it looks like your fuse box is in the corner, your windshield wiper fluid in the corner, and then these orange wires are your high voltage wires. Why? Because right at the front is your Tata badge, but also, yep, your CCS Type 2 port. It's going to automatically close in a while because that is automated. Cool, right? And then up on top, you have some of your sensors right around there, like your auto rain sensing wipers. And then it's a very large and wide masculine sort of bonnet with like sharp cuts on either side for your lighting. And by the way, I love the starting and turning off animation on this. If you've also been noticing, it's got sequential side lights on each side. And as for the lights, well, the center one is your LED projector auto headlamps, and then your fog lamps are these 2 down below. There's also a bit of a tiny air inlet on each side for better aerodynamics, and at the front, obviously your number plate, but a big opening down here, not to cool your engine, but there is a radiator underneath for your AC intake and another 360-degree camera. And coming to the side, you have your indicators on your mirrors, which are electronically adjustable and foldable. And then you have a massive panoramic sunroof on top that stretches throughout most of the cabin. Down below, you have an EV badging there. And then these are Goodyear tires of the size 215/55 R18s. Yep, you heard that right. These are 18-inch alloy wheels with aero inserts. I kind of dig the aero cap design on this. What about you? And coming back up and out, you still get that large road presence. And then obviously your door handles are flush door handles. The doors open pretty wide too, making for good ingress and egress. Pretty good thud if you ask me. What about the back door? Again, very wide. It's almost 90 degrees wide. And then obviously you have your very slanted coupe C-pillar at the back here with a tiny shark fin antenna at the back. And then again, very slanted rear windshield and no window wipers at the back. Unfortunately, you do get a spoiler, like a really thin sort of spoiler, probably more for aesthetics than anything. And then again, like at the front, you have rather sharp tail lights and side lights and rear lights at the back. These are reflectors. Most of your lighting is up here, so your indicators, your tail bar, it's got a good animation for shutting off too. Your badging, your model name, 360 camera, and then 2 parking sensors on each side. Alright, as for the exteriors on the Curvv EV, your door is a mixture of different hard plastics. One touch just for the driver's side, and then a child lock for the windows. And then your water bottle holders are down here. It fits 2 decently sized ones. This side is thin, and there is an umbrella point there. On this side though, you don't have many controls. Your OBD is here, your engine bonnet opener is there, accelerator, brake, and dead pedal. Perforated leatherette seats, as I'm told. They are on the lighter side in color, so even if I've been very careful, just a bit of dust has smudged it around a bit. You might want to be careful with that. But getting in, foot on the brake, power on this side. And welcome to the Tata Curvv EV interiors. Apple CarPlay is automatically connected. I have my wireless charger down here, and it is showing that it's connected and charging, so that's awesome. And starting with your steering wheel, on the left hand side are your media controls, Bluetooth, and this button here is for your voice assistant. So this car actually has 4. It's got a native, it's got Siri, it's got Google, and Alexa. So let's try the voice assistant. Open sunroof.
Okay, opening.
Alright, I guess that is a go. Also, massive panoramic sunroof on top. And then back to the steering wheel. On the left hand side is your wiper controls. So auto, slow, medium, high. On your right hand side are your headlights as well as indicators. So you can also leave it in auto here, and it does do the trick. So turning off everything again. And then on your right hand side are your ADAS and car controls, including your menu. But then moving on to the center console, this is 12 inches, this is 10 inches diagonally. And obviously Apple CarPlay is super smooth, buttery, AC vents here. And then I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it has been super helpful. These touch haptic static buttons down here, quick cooling, air circulation, fan direction, speed, temperature, and then your quick other controls like your boot opening, closing, charger flap opening, lock and unlock, and then 360 camera, which I am really digging the quality. And then coming down to the center console, you do have 2 USB ports here, but here's what I am not happy with here. Like with a USB pin, it's very hard to stick in your finger here, and it's the same for your 12-volt charger. You'll need a specific shape to fit it in this space here. Your gear lever here, yes. And then your driver modes, city, eco, sport here, your parking brake, your auto hold, charger, and then there's a large cubby here that goes in. Soft touch materials here. Your passenger side gets manual adjustment, 6-way, and then there's a very different sort of play of like plastics, hard touch materials, and like a bit of soft leatherette with like blue stitching, probably for the electric part. And then there's a button down here to open your driver's glove box, which has your 2 cup holders that I mentioned. But then this is deep, like it's got a tray, it's got a light at the back, and then this is massive down here. It's also cooled. And well, I don't have a to-go cup with me, but I don't think this is going to be quite useful when there's a passenger sitting there, will it? And then last but least, this is anti-reflective mirrors that can be turned on and off. Just leave it on. Your lights inside the cabin, and then your sunroof controls here. And then this probably doesn't work in Nepal, but in India it definitely should, an SOS and call button. And as for the back seat, it's the same treatment of door. You do have 2 AC vents at the back here and a USB-C 45-watt charger. The under thigh support I feel is a bit inclined, but it's still good enough because you can actually recline the seat just a smudge at the back here. I think what's most compromised here is a bit of the headroom. For me, I would expect it to be fine. There's actually a curved area here, but for anyone who's tall, I would feel that this might be a bit tight, but shoulder room, knee room, footwell room, leg room just in general is really good. You also have the addition of a armrest at the back with 2 cup holders. What I noticed just now that Tata is missing is any place to store things back here on either side. And then you do have 2 isofix points at the back. And also contradicting to what I said about the light fabric color interiors, it does definitely give it a peaceful and very open feeling back here. So at the end of my review, I guess the question I want to ask, and I have been asking myself honestly, is what is efficiency like and what was my real world range like? And I do want to give a spoiler alert. In the couple of days I get to test out a car, I am constantly changing modes, pushing down the accelerator, testing out braking and acceleration and cornering and AC usage. So it's definitely on the higher side. And yeah, like I've been getting anywhere between 18, 19 and 20 kilowatt hour for every 100 kilometers. But I've watched a lot of reviews also on our neighbor counterpart that have claimed range efficiency to be around 15, 16 kilowatt hour too, and I believe it. But it really doesn't matter, because guess what? As long as you're in the city, you can always come home and charge. And I'm also really glad to say this, but in Nepal, there are enough chargers on the highway that you don't really need to worry as much as you needed to. But here's what really amazed me. Like, it's really not simple to make a car, right? And Tata have been making passenger cars for nearly 3 decades now, and adding spice to the mix, they've actually also been making EVs since they electrified their top-selling Nexon model in 2019. So currently it's 2025, 6 years. There is a saying that as long as you keep going, you keep on getting better. And as has been the case with Tata, iteration after iteration, facelift after facelift, model after model, and most importantly, improvement after improvement. Which brings me here today. If Tata got this good this fast, where is it going to be in another year or 2? And what about in the same amount of years since its first EV rolled out in 2019, in another 6 years? Don't you think they'll be on par with the rest of the world at this pace pretty soon? So while Tata Indica was Tata's first passenger segment car, it was built for the masses, but it did have its flaws, but it did get people moving. And the Curvv EV, it's built to move minds. Anyway, that was me for this review of the Tata Curvv EV, where coupe meets SUV and style meets spine. Do let me know what you thought about the car in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.